Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves lately, and no, I'm not talking about the actual waves in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. I'm talking about the fiasco surrounding it. You've probably heard snippets of the story, but trust me, the deeper you dig, the more it feels like a case study in how not to handle a PR nightmare. Personally, I think this whole situation is a masterclass in what happens when you prioritize spin over truth, and it's a reflection, pun intended, of the morals of an entire administration. Here's the hook: imagine you're in charge of one of the most iconic landmarks in the US, and something goes wrong. Maybe the pool starts looking like a science experiment gone awry, algae blooming, lining peeling off. What do you do? Fix it, right? Wrong. Apparently, the playbook here was to blame it on vandalism, point fingers at an innocent guy, and double down on the lie. What makes this really interesting is how the administration's response wasn't just a mistake, it was a calculated, prolonged deception. And it's not like this was some minor issue. It's the Lincoln Memorial, for crying out loud. Symbolism overload. Now, let's break this down. The pool fiasco started as a simple botched job. Contractor error. Happens all the time, right? But instead of owning up to it, the administration decided to spin a tale of vandalism. Why? In my opinion, it's because admitting fault would have been seen as a sign of weakness. And in this political climate, weakness is the one thing you can't afford. So, they went all in on the lie, even indicting a former Olympic athlete named David Hearn. What many people don't realize is that this wasn't just a random accusation, it was a deliberate attempt to shift blame and save face. Here's where it gets wild: the truth was out there the whole time. A National Park Service engineer flagged the issues months before the vandalism narrative took hold. Reports were filed, concerns were raised, and yet, no one in the administration bothered to correct the record. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about a pool, it's about a culture of silence and complicity. How many people knew the truth and stayed quiet? How many were willing to let an innocent man take the fall? This raises a deeper question: what does it say about the moral compass of an administration when lying becomes the default response? What's even more fascinating is that the truth came out because of a court filing by Jeanine Pirro, a longtime Trump ally. Now, Pirro's no stranger to controversy, but even she couldn't defend the indefensible in a courtroom. Her filing didn't just admit the pool was botched, it also revealed that the rush to complete the project, ordered by the Oval Office, contributed to the mess. Personally, I find it ironic that the very system Trump often criticizes, the legal system, ended up exposing his administration's lies. You can't spin your way out of a court filing. But here's the thing: this wasn't just a failure of leadership, it was a failure of character. The administration's response wasn't just incompetent, it was morally bankrupt. They were willing to ruin a man's life to avoid embarrassment. And for what? A bit of peeling lining? If you ask me, this is the kind of own goal that makes you question the judgment of everyone involved. GOP strategist Malik Abdul compared it to the Sean Dunn case, where a veteran was prosecuted for throwing a Subway sandwich. Both cases feel like something out of a dark comedy, but the stakes here are way higher. What this really suggests is that the administration's priorities are completely out of whack. Instead of focusing on governance, they are obsessed with image control. And when the image cracks, they'll do anything to patch it up, even if it means sacrificing integrity. From my perspective, this isn't just a reflection of one incident, it's a symptom of a much bigger problem. When lying becomes the norm, when accountability is optional, and when loyalty to a person outweighs loyalty to the truth, you've got a systemic issue. So, where does this leave us? Well, Pirro's now facing Trump's wrath for telling the truth, which is both tragic and predictable. But the real question is, will this fiasco change anything? Personally, I'm not holding my breath. This administration has a track record of doubling down, not course-correcting. But maybe, just maybe, this will serve as a wake-up call for those still on the fence. Because if a botched pull can expose this much rot, imagine what else is lurking beneath the surface. Here's my closing thought. The Lincoln Memorial reflecting pull is supposed to be a symbol of reflection, literally and metaphorically. But instead of reflecting on their mistakes, the administration chose to reflect their own image, no matter how distorted. And that, my friends, is the real fiasco. So, the next time you see a politician spinning a story, ask yourself, what are they trying to hide? Because in this case, the truth wasn't just in the water, it was in the cover-up.